I am the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister, and I have loved the Crown Prince for 10 years. Finally, our love bore fruit today. Our grand wedding was personally decreed by His Majesty the Emperor. What I never expected was that when my bridal veil was lifted after we bowed to heaven and earth in the wedding chamber, the person standing before me was indeed not the Crown Prince, but Prince Ning. How could it be you? I averted my gaze from the man before me. Prince Ning was the Crown Prince's younger brother by the same mother. His appearance goes without saying, simply apply all those terms used to describe handsome men to him. His character is impeccable as well, refined and cultured, bearing the reputation of a child prodigy since youth, with a passion for literature. He often composes poetry and paints with his closest friends. His literary fame resonates throughout the realm, making him the white knight in the dreams of countless unmarried maidens. This is a true prince indeed, yet even so, he's not the one I fancy. I don't dislike him, in fact, I'm quite fond of his poetry, but I don't love him. My heart belongs to the Crown Prince. It's him I begged to marry. So why is it Prince Ning who's taking me as his bride today? Hearing my words, Prince Ning did not do anything excessive. Instead, he sat down and gazed at the table full of delicacies. It seemed I was genuinely a little hungry, having gone a whole day without food or water. Claiming not to be thirsty or hungry would be a lie. My stomach betrayed me with an embarrassing growl. "Phut." Prince Ning looked at me like a bristling little tiger, still staring greedily at the delicacies, finding me utterly adorable. "Enough, you haven't had food or water all day. Whatever questions you have, we've got all night tonight. Eat something first, we'll talk after you're full." Still that same tenderness, still that same heart-stealing charm. Seems my personality might be a bit thick-skinned too. Just moments ago I was demanding to know why I'd married Prince Ning. Now hearing the other party tell me to eat, all thoughts of being a noble young lady or proper etiquette were pushed aside. Even if something were to happen later, I'd need to eat my fill first to have the strength to resist, wouldn't I? Seeing me eat, Prince Ning, though he'd already eaten outside, still felt somewhat hungry. He casually picked up a pastry and began eating as well. I wasn't supposed to marry the Crown Prince. How did I end up marrying you? You're choking me to death. Su Wanwan, you're the Prime Minister's daughter. We've known each other for over 10 years, playing together since childhood. So if you were supposed to marry the Crown Prince, why did you marry me instead? Prince Ning didn't answer my question but threw it back at me instead. What a scheming man. Exactly, I, the Crown Prince. And Prince Ning could be said to have grown up together. To say we were childhood sweethearts, innocent playmates wouldn't be an exaggeration. Thus it can be said that we three understand each other thoroughly. This man being fawned over by everyone right now is actually a scheming fox. All these years, he's never stopped bullying me. He'd often play all sorts of pranks on me. Seeing my expression, Prince Ning burst into laughter. I couldn't see what was so funny. Was I amusing? Or was the question I raised ridiculous? Su Wanwan, you're so entertaining. After all these years growing up together, your little head seems to have never matured, still so naive. I didn't understand what he meant and just stared at him blankly. Fine. Then let me ask you, what exactly did the imperial edict your family received say? The marriage decree didn't mention your name Su Wanwan, but rather a daughter of the Su family. As I recall, your Su family has more than one daughter. Doesn't it? Did you know that on that very day, another bride was sent from a different Su family estate? Hearing this scheming man's words felt like being struck by lightning. Su Xiaoxiao, my cousin. How could I have not thought of that woman? I always said she was a scheming one. Putting on that delicate and fragile act every day. Who does she think she's fooling? No one believes me when I tell them, not even my own father, who says I'm being petty. Seeing that I'd finally understood, Prince Ning took a sip of wine. I told you you were foolish, but you wouldn't believe me. I warned you long ago that Crown Prince wasn't the right match for you. He doesn't love you. But you wouldn't listen. Bullshit. What's the point of saying this now? Now we've already bowed at the ceremony, gotten married, and consummated the union. Even if nothing happened between us, what will outsiders think? I, Su Wanwan, am not someone who wallows in self-pity. I, Su Wanwan, can take responsibility and let go when needed. I looked at Prince Ning. Chiyu, do you like me? Phut. Chiyu spat out his wine, coughed twice, and turned to look at me. Are you out of your mind? You silly girl, have you lost your senses? I'm asking you seriously, do you like me? Why do you want to marry me? Chiyu gently touched his forehead. Truth be told, his reputation as the most handsome man in the capital wasn't for nothing. Forget it, you'll find out sooner or later anyway. Let me explain, my elder brother, the crown prince, wants me to marry you first, then divorce you after a month so he can take you into his household. That way, you'll still be considered married to him. After hearing this, I could only laugh bitterly in anger. As the legitimate eldest daughter of the Grand Chancellor of Dakian, how dare they treat me as a plaything? A simple divorce decree. Have you considered my reputation? What will others think of me? Taking me into your household as a concubine, how is that any different from being a plaything? Without proper status or recognition, where would that leave the dignity of my Su family? Chiyu, I'll ask you one last time, have you ever truly loved me? If I were to marry you, would you genuinely plan to spend your life with me? I asked earnestly, and Chiyu, seeing I wasn't joking, dropped his playful demeanor and looked at me seriously. I do, I've loved you for 17 years. But your eyes were only ever on my crown prince brother. If you'll have me, I vow to spend my life with you. There will be only one mistress in Prince Ning's residence. Though we knew each other too well, and though this man was cunning, since I'd married him, I, Su Wonwan, would remain faithful till the end. You, the crown prince, treated me as a plaything. Well, this lady doesn't want you anymore. Good. Su Wonwan and Chiyu pledge eternal devotion. Let's drink the nuptial wine. A night swept by spring's passion. Waking at dawn, I found Chiyu already gone from my side. I don't know what came over me last night to act so impulsively, yet I feel no regret. Prince, you've wronged me, so why must I cling to you? Awake, a pleasant voice sounded by my ear. My face flushed instantly. My behavior yesterday had been utterly absurd. I have to admit, how could I have not noticed it before? He's actually really good looking. When he's not being scheming, he's quite gentle. After waking up, I realized this man is truly so much better than the crown prince. In the past, I was always the one following the crown prince, and many said I was clinging to him. And now there's a man pressing close behind me too. It turns out that between loving and being loved, the one who is loved is truly the happier. Have you thought about what you'll say to the Prime Minister when we return 3 days from now? Speaking of this matter, I'm also curious, does my father know about this switcheroo with the Crown Princess? Chiyu, does my father know about today's events? I don't know. What a convenient I don't know. The Crown Prince's schemes run deep indeed. He must have been plotting this for a very, very long time. I truly don't know. Even the Chancellor was kept in the dark about this. True enough. Father dotes on me, so how could he ever allow anyone to humiliate me like this? Our family has been loyal and virtuous for generations. With my father serving as the Prime Minister, one might say he holds sway over the entire court. I have 3 elder brothers. The eldest will inherit our father's legacy and is currently learning by his side. My second brother possesses extraordinary martial prowess and has already become a general. My third brother thought himself neither accomplished in letters nor skilled in martial arts, yet by forging his own path, he unexpectedly became the master of the world's foremost trading house. I truly don't understand, how could someone of my status be unworthy of him, the Crown Prince? That cousin of mine is merely a distant relative from our family branch, orphaned young. She was only raised as a young lady in our household because her parents had shown kindness to my father. She really does presume herself to be the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter. When did they get together? How come I didn't know? My dear princess, how could you be so naive, yet adorably clueless? I thought you'd noticed long ago. Chiyu, if you call me naive again, I'll bite you. You already bit me yesterday. His words left us both speechless. Then my face started burning crimson. If Chiyu hadn't apologized so quickly, I would have bitten him to death right then, actually. I don't know exactly when Crown Prince brother started liking your cousin Su Xiaoxiao either. What I do know is that 3 years ago during the temple fair, such a familiar plot, it felt exactly like those romance novels I'd read. All those talented scholars and beautiful ladies would meet at temple fairs, get acquainted, and fall in love. It's been 3 years already. I was actually kept in the dark for 3 whole years. If Qi Tian doesn't like me, just say it, you could have told me directly. I'm not the kind of person who would cling desperately. Why did you have to play with me like this? Are you angry? You looked at my sulky expression. I'm furious. Su Wanwan considers herself someone who knows when to advance and retreat. If he didn't like me, he could have just told me directly. I wouldn't have shamelessly pursued him like this. Why treat me, Su Wanwan, as some plaything? Seeing my pouting face, Chiyu picked up a grape and placed it in my mouth. It was very sweet. Enough. There's no need to be angry. Without his arrangements, how could I have married the beauty of my dreams? Besides, haven't you considered your family's situation? His position as crown prince requires your family's full support. That's right, our Su family. It turns out all he ever wanted was our Su family. Our family could be called the foremost clan beneath imperial authority. If not for our unwavering loyalty, a family like ours wouldn't have lasted this long. Only with our family's support could one ascend to the throne. Rather than getting angry, why not live your life well? I've made up my mind. In a few days, I plan to take you south of the Yangtze River. They say it's beautiful there. I've never been there either, only read about it in storybooks. Drawn in by Chi Yu's topic, I stopped thinking about the crown prince's affairs. 3 days later, today, Chi Yu and I prepared ourselves before returning to my maiden home. I'm truly curious about what my father would think upon learning I'd been played for a fool by the crown prince. When we arrived at the Prime Minister's residence gates alongside the Crown Prince, my parents had been waiting there for quite some time. According to royal protocol, the entire ministerial household must welcome the Crown Prince and Princess Consort during their homecoming visit. The Crown Prince and Prince Ning sat astride towering steeds facing us directly. With their respective carriages positioned behind them, my father, Prime Minister Su, first approached the Crown Prince. Greetings to Your Highness the Crown Prince and Crown Princess. Rise, Prime Minister. Greetings to Prince Ning and Princess Ning. There's no need for such formality, father-in-law. What had been a perfectly harmonious scene unfolded as my cousin and I stepped out of our respective cars. My parents were utterly stunned. The Crown Prince, the Imperial Prince, this is. Daughter pays respects to father. Whatever matters we have, let's discuss them back at the manor. As the legitimate daughter of the Su family, she naturally wished to avoid quarreling in such a place. Very well, very well. When our entire party arrived at the Prime Minister's main hall, my father finally voiced the question weighing on his mind. Crown Prince, Prince Ning, what is the meaning of this? Wasn't my daughter supposed to marry the Crown Prince as his consort? Why did she descend from Prince Ning's carriage? Chancellor, the fault lies with me for not making it clear earlier. When I sought His Majesty's permission for marriage, the person I wished to wed was your niece Su Xiaoxiao. Moreover, the imperial decree specified marrying a daughter of the Su family without naming which one. Such words were indeed reasonable and well-founded. As Chancellor, my father understood all too well the sordid implications behind this matter. Your Excellency, please don't be angry. I know this is indeed my fault. Rest assured, I've already spoken with Prince Ning. In about a month, Prince Ning will divorce Wanwan, and then I shall take her as my equal wife. This is practically throwing someone's dignity to the ground and stomping on it twice. Hearing such shameless words, even I couldn't help but laugh. Wait, father, once a woman is married to another, it concerns her reputation. Divorcing and remarrying, where would that leave my dignity? Moreover, Prince Ning and I share harmonious understanding. Rather than becoming someone else's equal wife, I believe Prince Ning is the one I can entrust my life to. Hearing my words, the Crown Prince looked at me with utterly incredulous eyes. Father, it's just that the Crown Prince played this switcheroo trick so well. Had he openly declared his mutual affection with my cousin's sister that day, he could have said so plainly, this has already made our Prime Minister's residence the laughingstock of others. It is this unfilial daughter who has brought shame upon our household, seeing me suffer such great injustice. Mother stepped forward and took my hand, already choking with sobs. Honored father-in-law, this humble son-in-law will treat Wanwan well, you may both rest assured. My Prince Ning's residence shall have only one princess consort for life, and that is Su Wanwan. Prince Ning rose to his feet and bowed respectfully. I disagree. The Crown Prince was truly agitated. Upon hearing our words, he could no longer contain his emotions. Su Wanwan, I know this is unfair to you, but I've already made it clear that I'll take you as my equal wife. Why must you still make such a scene and become the laughingstock of others, when I adored you? You were the Crown Prince beyond my reach. When I didn't like you, you were just the Crown Prince. What did you have to do with me? And he probably doesn't realize that he became Crown Prince only because of our Su family's support. Your Highness speaks so lightly, as if a woman's lifelong reputation is just me making trouble in your eyes. Wasn't my marriage to Prince Ning also your arrangement? Since you've married my cousin, treat her well. Our Su family has surely gone above and beyond for my cousin all these years. Fine, just fine. My father had already understood the matter. Crown Prince, Crown Princess, please return. Xiao Xiao's parents are not us. Since you two already have your own plans and have done such things, then the bond between our Su family and Xiao Xiao ends here. If it weren't for my elder brother's entrustment back then, never mind. Xiao Xiao, our Su family has treated you well. Why couldn't you explain this beforehand? What clever scheming. Thud. Su Xiao Xiao knelt on the ground. Uncle, the Crown Prince and I are deeply attached to each other. This is my fault. I didn't know things would turn out this way. You can hit or scold me as you wish, but I beg you both to forgive me. Wanwan, I was wrong. I know I shouldn't have competed with you for the position of Crown Princess. I'll yield this position to you. Step aside. I didn't know whether to be angry or amused. What a choice of words, step aside. I'm well aware of women's traditional virtues of obedience. Now that I'm married to Prince Ning, I shall only be known as Princess Ning. There's no stepping aside here. What you once cherished holds no value to me now. Father, since this is a family banquet, please have the irrelevant guests leave. You dare order me to leave? Su Wanwan, this is merely a temporary arrangement. Must you make such an ugly scene? I've already promised to take you as my second wife. Haven't you caused enough trouble? Sister, ever since my father passed away in my childhood, my family was destroyed. I have nothing unlike you, who has everything. The Crown Prince is all I have. I won't compete with you. Just grant me a humble place to stay by his side. Please don't blame him, he only took pity on me. The green tea flavor is too strong. Cousin, how cruel of you to say that. You make yourself sound so pitiful. But search your conscience. How has our Su family treated you? In the Su household, everything I had, you had too. Our parents feared you might feel slighted, so they've always let you carry yourself as a young lady of the Su family. But never mind that now, from now on, the Crown Prince is yours alone. I'll be content with my Prince Ning. I did love the Crown Prince, but my love was never. The moment he pushed me toward another, my heart died for him. Though it aches, I've already let go. Royal brother, how did you promise me back then? Wasn't it just acting? The Crown Prince glared at Prince Ning with fiery eyes, demanding sternly, Crown Prince brother, Su Wanwan is now my wife. Even before His Majesty she remains my wife. I beg you to consider your position. Should this spread, it would tarnish your reputation as Crown Prince. 1,000 words condensed into a cold snort. The Crown Prince left with Su Xiaoxiao. My poor daughter, you've suffered so. Mother hugged me and burst into tears. This is beyond insult, beyond insult. I shall enter the palace and demand justice from His Majesty. As the family's most cherished treasure, how could I possibly let such treatment go unanswered? Father, though there have been some twists and turns, your daughter does not feel wronged. I comforted my mother while offering my father another graceful bow. Daughter, even now you still speak in defense of the Crown Prince. This concerns the dignity of our Prime Minister's household. Father, rather than marrying a man who dislikes me and sees me as a bargaining chip, I believe finding someone genuine will bring me greater happiness. Father-in-law, though I may not be as noble as the Crown Prince, I dare to swear here that I will treat Wanwan well. Seeing me and Prince Ning like this, my father sighed. Very well, seeing you like this now, my daughter, as your father, I can say no more. As long as you are happy. Prince Ning, she is my only daughter. I hope you will not fail her. If she suffers even the slightest grievance, I, as her father, will not spare you, no matter your status. While my mother and I spoke in the inner hall, My father drank with Prince Ning in the front hall. Mother knew that I had consummated my marriage with Prince Ning. As a woman, this was a matter of lifelong virtue. Since the deed was done, what could be done about it? Yet she could also see that Prince Ning was truly sincere toward me. The crown prince has gone too far. Though my daughter may not contend for this, as her father, I will not stand by and watch my precious daughter suffer such humiliation. How much effort has our Su family contributed for him to become crown prince and achieve what he has today? It seems his position as crown prince has become too secure. My lord, though our daughter's fate took an unexpected turn, she is still quite happy. One can see that Prince Ning is indeed a better match compared to the crown prince. Mother was quite satisfied with Prince Ning. Prince Ning has a reputation for virtue and is indeed a good match. Compared to someone like the crown prince, who is extremely calculating, marrying Prince Ning might not be a bad thing for a woman. And that Su Xiaoxiao, I really raised an ungrateful wretch. Back then, my elder brother entrusted Xiaoxiao to the Prime Minister's care. And our family treated her as our own. Who would have thought we'd end up raising such a daughter? The two of them sighed in regret. Never underestimate a father. My father had already made up his mind. Since the crown prince dared to treat his daughter this way, he shouldn't blame him for what's coming. Meanwhile, I was already preparing to return to the estate with Prince Ning. Truth be told, being a princess consort wasn't so bad. At least I didn't have to endure the suffocating depths of the imperial palace like the crown princess. As Prince Ning and I walked through the capital, I realized my mood wasn't as terrible as I'd expected. I thought I would be heartbroken when the crown prince did such things, but it seems I wasn't as affected as I imagined. Instead, I quickly accepted the reality before me. What are you thinking about? Prince Ning asked. Noticing my occasional frown, Qiyu, tell me why I'm not sad. Qiyu was momentarily taken aback by my words, but soon understood what I meant. Because there is no love. What an answer, because there is no love. Indeed, when one's heart is utterly broken, love fades away. Over these past few days, I've come to realize that what I felt for the crown prince wasn't love at all, it was merely longing. Today, the crown prince suffered humiliation at your father's house. He likely won't let it go easily. Should I give your father a heads up? Seeing Qiyu still caring for my family at this moment, a faint sweetness stirred in my heart. No need, our family has been loyal to the throne for generations, yet the crown prince toys with us like this. If His Majesty cannot give our family justice, it will chill the hearts of all under heaven. When you no longer dwell in my heart, what concern is your life or death to me? After Qiyu and I returned to the residence, Qiyu was immediately summoned to the palace. I suspect the crown prince must have gone to the palace and said something. Crown prince, our Su family is not to be trifled with like this. Moreover, father could clearly see that the crown prince already held our Su family in no regard. Such mockery. If the crown prince were to ascend the throne, the Su family's fate would surely be grim. One must remember that my father is not just my father, he is also the head of the Su family. Back then, the reason for our support was the crown prince's promise that I would be his future consort, and when he ascended the throne, I would rule the inner palace. Now then, a single clever maneuver has already solved many problems. Since this is the case, my father naturally must have his own plans. Firstly, it's to avenge his daughter. Secondly, naturally, it's to make arrangements for the family's future. Throughout dynasties, imperial princes have never been singular in number. Before ascending the throne, the world remains full of dark horses. At this moment within the palace walls, the emperor was also extremely angered upon learning the truth of the matter. The emperor was childhood playmates with my father, their bond as close as brothers, and my father even risked his life to save His Majesty during his formative years. In the emperor's heart, even when my father held immense power at court, he never once suspected our Su family of harboring treasonous thoughts. When the crown prince sought my hand in marriage, the emperor was genuinely pleased, radiating the joy of seeing his younger generation settle down. Now hearing how his own crown prince has treated me, even audaciously claiming he merely wanted to give Su Xiaoxiao a proper status. Father Emperor, please forgive your son's selfish thoughts. I admire Miss Su. Since crown prince already has someone else in his heart, Why not grant her to me, in these few days of marriage? Wanwan and I have grown deeply attached to each other. I beg your majesty to bless our union." Gazing at his most brilliant son, the emperor reflected that this child had never asked him for anything since childhood. Unlike other princes, he neither fought nor snatched, devoted solely to scholarship. He was regarded by both court and commoners as a rare talent, though talents were often said to be fickle in love. This son of his had remained chaste and pure. Turns out his loyalty belonged entirely to that Wanwan girl. His own shadow guards had also reported to him that this was indeed the case, and the two seemed quite happy together. Since things have already come to this, very well. Both of you have married the ones you love, will have to make the best of a bad situation. Later, I will personally confer upon Wanwan the title of Princess Consort Ning. We mustn't let this girl's heart grow cold. Yua. Have Wanwan come to the palace in a few days. Upon hearing the emperor's words, the crown prince immediately objected. Father, this cannot be. I've already arranged everything. In a few days, I'll have Su Wanwan divorce imperial brother and take her as my equal wife. Outrageous. The emperor was immediately enraged upon hearing these words. Do you take Wanwan for mere merchandise? Have you considered the immense damage this would do to a woman's reputation? Let this matter rest. Since you've already found someone you fancy, then live your life well. Crown Prince, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Dismissed. At the Crown Prince's residence, it's all my fault. If not for me, your highness wouldn't be so troubled. I beg you to divorce me, having been your wife for these few days. I have no regrets left. I'll be content if there's just a small place for me in your highness's heart. Seeing Su Xiaoxiao weeping like a rain-drenched pear blossom, the Crown Prince immediately embraced her with a pang of heartache. Xiaoxiao, I told you before, my heart belongs only to you. Whether now or in the future, you will always be the mistress of my harem. Since Su Wanwan refuses to save face, then don't blame me for being ruthless. In truth, the Crown Prince believed I was merely throwing a tantrum. The old me had pined for him ceaselessly. Given time, I would surely come begging to him. As for the Su family, they had always indulged my every whim. When the time came, he would seize this opportunity to usurp the throne. At this moment, I sat in the pavilion, listening to Chi Yu recount the events at the imperial palace today. In 2 days, we'll enter the palace to express our gratitude. Actually, I should also thank the Crown Prince. If not for him, I wouldn't have seen my true heart clearly, nor would I have found my ideal husband. Chi Yu was truly wonderful, kind to me and virtuous in character, refined and courteous, a true gentleman. A loss may turn out to be a gain. Who knows what fortune lies ahead? I never imagined that a crown prince's conspiracy would lead me to marry such a fine man. What are you thinking about so deeply? Chi Yu suddenly appeared before me, giving me quite a start. Nothing important. Has anything happened in the palace today? The crown prince did mention today that I should divorce you, but I refused. He actually had the nerve. My lord, since I've married you, I will fulfill my duties faithfully. Moreover, I don't wish to hear anything more about the Crown Prince. From now on, I am solely the Princess Consort of Ning. Other people have nothing to do with me. Hearing my declaration, Prince Ning smiled, and I must say, his smile was truly captivating. How could a man's smile be so extraordinarily handsome? My lady, there will be a palace banquet in a few days. Would you accompany me? Of course. Unless you think this Princess Consort of Ning is unworthy of you. The two exchanged a knowing smile. Suddenly I realized how wonderful this was, how foolish I'd been before, pining for the Crown Prince who had never so much as glanced my way. In the days that followed, the prince and I became inseparable. Our love story turning into the talk of the town. This matter reached the Crown Prince's residence, infuriating him even more. To say he liked me would be an overstatement. Perhaps in his heart, I was more like a personal possession. Suddenly, this possession had become someone else's, which he found unacceptable. Of course, there was another reason. Do they really think my Prime Minister's residence is easy to bully? My father has already made his stance clear in court by refusing to support the Crown Prince. Our Su family holds a position second only to the Emperor himself in the imperial court. The reason His Majesty trusts our Su family isn't just out of personal affection, it's also because we've always been ministers of absolute loyalty. With my father's support withdrawn, the Crown Prince hasn't merely lost his right-hand men, he's suffered a far greater blow. The princes who once thought themselves hopeless are now itching to make their move. The Crown Prince summoned Su Xiaoxiao back to his residence several times, but never allowed her past the gates. Do you really think you're the precious daughter of our Su family? If my elder brothers knew about my situation, the only reason they haven't come knocking is because he's still the Crown Prince, just a cousin. Yet she coveted the position of the main family's legitimate daughter's husband and actually succeeded. This was already laughable enough, and now she dares to entertain other delusions. I truly don't understand what these two are thinking. Su Xiaoxiao even came to the prince's residence looking for me. Did she really think I'm such a magnanimous person? I used to yield to her solely out of pity, and because we shared the same surname, Su. Our Su family has never done anything to wrong her. This whole mess is entirely Su Xiaoxiao's fault. Had she been upfront about the matter that day, there could have been alternative solutions. A bunch of self-proclaimed clever fools. Those who grew up in the Chancellor's residence were all clever individuals, unless they were truly spoiled wastrels. From childhood, all they heard and witnessed were schemes and deceptions. It was only because the Chancellor's household upheld proper values that fraternal conflicts didn't arise. Fortunately, our family was different. Brothers showed respect to each other, each had their strengths, and they supported one another. Now that our most beloved younger sister had been wronged, we certainly couldn't let it pass so easily. All three elder brothers came to see me. Upon learning about my treatment at Prince Ning's residence, they praised this brother-in-law of theirs highly. My lady looks most beautiful in this attire. You'll surely be the fairest at the banquet today. What a sickeningly sweet man. The most beautiful today should be the queen and princess. My looks are merely passable. I just hope not to disgrace our Ningqin prince's manor. Hearing my modest words, Chiyu immediately spoke up. My lady, let us go. Today the womenfolk are seated separately from us. If anyone troubles you, send word to me at once. It was clear Prince Ning also knew what sort of man the Crown Prince was. Today's banquet would likely see some unpleasantness brewing. Don't worry. Besides being the Su family's young lady, I also have many close friends. You can set your mind at ease. Joking aside, I, Su Wanwan, a renowned talented woman, am friends with many noble ladies and madams. Moreover, given my Su family's standing, that Su Xiaoxiao had better behave herself today, or else don't blame me for humiliating her. Arrived at the imperial palace, the men were all summoned by the emperor, while we family members naturally went to the empress's quarters in the rear palace. Along the way, I encountered many of my close friends and exchanged greetings with them. Everyone envied me for finding such an ideal husband. If one had no ambition to become the future queen mother in this imperial court, then Prince Ning would undoubtedly be the most coveted husband for all women in the realm. No wonder people said I'd stumbled upon the greatest bargain imaginable. At the banquet's commencement, everyone recited poetry and discussed topics befitting young ladies. As the conversation flowed, it eventually turned to Su Xiaoxiao and me. While common folk might remain unaware of that day's events, how could such matters escape the notice of these noble households' inner circles? My apologies, Wanwan dear sister. Seeing Su Xiaoxiao bowing and apologizing to me, I knew she was up to something. Cousin, why this sudden apology? Have I offended you in some way? Or are you trying to embarrass me in front of everyone? Hearing our exchange, the crowd fell silent and turned their attention toward us. Even Her Majesty the Empress couldn't hide her curiosity. Women, no matter their age, are all the same. They possess an eternal spirit of gossip that never fades. Sister, if you're still angry with me, I'll apologize. You can even hit me twice if you want. I just hope you can forgive me and stop being mad. Stop right there. Why would I be angry with you? There's no trace of affection left between us. You're you. And I'm me. What bond could we possibly have? Wanwan, your words clearly show you're still upset. Now I can't even return to Uncle's estate. It's been so long since I've seen him and Aunt. We have no relationship whatsoever, just strangers who happen to know each other too well. Our family raised you all these years. And anyone with even a shred of humanity wouldn't stoop to such despicable acts. You never treated me as family in the first place. And now you have the audacity to expect me to acknowledge you. The others were also watching the drama unfold with amusement. Cousin Xiao Xiao, the only reason I still call you cousin is that we both bear the Su surname. But after this incident, our families are even. You go on being the crown princess. Our humble Su family is too small to accommodate someone of your stature. Moreover, by uttering those words today in front of Her Highness the consort, the princesses, and all these noble ladies, your true intentions are laid bare for all to see. Since that's the case, let's make it clear now and sever any lingering hopes you might have. Su Xiaoxiao didn't expect me to speak so bluntly. Sister, I didn't mean, enough. Today we gather here not for you to air family matters and spoil everyone's mood. Your Highness, please forgive this offense that dampened today's festivities. One apologizes to everyone. When comparing the two, superiority becomes immediately apparent at first glance. Alright, the Su family's affairs shall be handled by the Su family themselves. Come now, since we're all gathered here today, why don't we play the flower poetry game? The crown prince was not born to Her Majesty the Empress. It's true that Her Majesty did bear a son originally, but then an incident occurred in the palace. Everyone knew about Su Xiaoxiao's situation. Being women themselves, they all looked down upon what she had done. Before I was married, apart from my relentless pursuit of the crown prince, my character was considered impeccable in every other aspect. Among all these noble ladies and young misses, I have many friends, and my father is the Prime Minister. How could Su Xiaoxiao, an outsider, compare to me? After the banquet, Prince Ning praised my performance today on our way back. I heard my wife showed no less courage than a man today. Did you finally vent your anger? That scheming girl isn't even worth my attention, my lord, but we should be more cautious after this incident. However, there's one thing I'm extremely curious about. Would you enlighten me? Oh, how rare for my lady to show curiosity. Do tell me what's on your mind. Your husband shall hold nothing back. Truth be told, it's nothing significant. I'm merely somewhat curious about your lineage. Though you're honored as Prince Ning, there are rumors you're not of royal blood. If this question troubles you, husband, you needn't answer. Chiyu smiled and took my hand. Is that all? I thought it might be something serious. Indeed, the rumors are true. This is no secret. Your father knows some of this as well. Did my father know? I've truly never heard of this. Actually, I am the son of Prince Rong. My father achieved military merits in his early years but suffered injuries that left him unable to have children, so he later adopted me. I should have inherited my father's title, but court officials claimed I wasn't his biological son, rendering me powerless despite my intentions. My father died suppressing a rebellion. To preserve my father's lifelong honor and spare my mother from further scorn, I took up my father's spear, defended our great Qian's borders, and earned military merits. Later, moved by my deeds, His Majesty graciously adopted me as his godson and conferred upon me the current title of Prince Rong. Good heavens, what twists and turns! It's just like a story from those operatic plays. Why does my lady ask this today? Did someone say something at the banquet? Not really, just asking out of curiosity. Actually, there's one thing I haven't mentioned. They say women are naturally sensitive. Seems like I should discuss this matter with father. A few more days passed. When Chiyu went to court, I had already told him I wanted to visit my mother today. With second brother returning from the frontier, of course I had to go back. That second brother of mine, hot-tempered he may be, but he truly dotes on me. Second brother, I've missed you so much. You weren't even back for my wedding. Seeing second brother, especially with white bandages wrapped around him and looking rather pale, I spoke with concern in my voice. Our Wanwan has already married. It's second brother's fault. When the barbarians invaded the border, I couldn't return. My apologies. By the way, this time I captured a pony, said to be unique to the western regions. Don't let its size fool you. It can cover 800 li in a day. Thank you, second brother. He still spoils me as much as ever. If I hadn't been delayed by the war that day, how dare that bitch Su Xiaoxiao treat my sister like that? I would have torn her apart alive. Who would have known she had such cunning schemes all these years? What an ungrateful wretch. Alright, second brother, actually. Every cloud has a silver lining. Marrying Prince Ning seems better than marrying the crown prince. Prince Ning dotes on me very much. You, counting your blessings while pretending to complain. Though I've been stationed at the border all these years, Chiyu has always suited my temper, and I've heard how many women were heartbroken during your grand wedding. My sister truly is blessed with good fortune. We chatted for quite a while until father returned from court. After sharing a family banquet, I found myself alone with my father in his study. Wanwan, the crown prince has come begging for my help again. After mistreating my daughter, he still expects my assistance. Father, I was wrong before, causing you so much worry. Nonsense, child. You're my daughter, how could you ever be wrong? Father still dotes on me the same as always. Father, I've discovered something interesting. It might just be speculation, but I'm about 60% certain. Seeing my mysterious demeanor, father grew curious. What has my daughter uncovered now? Even after marrying, you still haven't grown up much. Father, I spoke with my father in the study for a long time, though our conversation remained confidential. That old fool Su. Does he truly believe I cannot become the ruler of this realm without his support? The crown prince was venting his anger. Crown prince, since the Su family cannot be relied upon, why don't we turn to others? Over these many years, I've come to know certain things about the Su family. Moreover, with the Su family now dominating alone, there are many who resent them. Why don't we start with those people? Su Xiaoxiao said while massaging the crown prince. Xiaoxiao is right. Marrying you is the greatest happiness of my life. Me too. That old fox won't be easy to deal with, and now even Father Emperor shows signs of wanting to change the crown prince. It seems I must devise some plans. Today when Mother Consort came to me, I realized I can't endure this any longer. If one day I ascend that throne, Xiaoxiao shall undoubtedly become the Empress of 6 palaces. Crown Prince, the Su family can be utilized these years, and the military forces you've been courting have already pledged loyalty. When the day comes, Your Highness will undoubtedly ascend the 9-dragon throne. Meanwhile, within the imperial palace, what did you say? Chiyu might be our son with the Empress. The Prime Minister Su also knew about the events back then. Our child went missing, and later an infant wrapped in yellow silk was retrieved from a well. Now you're telling me our son never died. Prime Minister Su, surely these thoughts didn't arise merely because your daughter married Chiyu. Upon hearing the Emperor's words, Prime Minister Su fell to his knees with a thud. Your Majesty, my Su family has enjoyed imperial favor for generations. How could we commit such an act? It was my daughter who discovered this matter. Moreover, has your Majesty not noticed how Prince Ning increasingly resembles both you and the Empress? Hearing Prime Minister Su's words, the Emperor realized it was indeed true. Every time he saw Chiyu, he felt the child resembled an old acquaintance he couldn't quite place. Followed by an inexplicable sense of closeness, otherwise he would never have adopted him as a foster son. In that case, this matter is full of doubts. Your Majesty, it's better to believe it exists than to believe it doesn't. You could have the secret guards investigate this matter. However, there's a 70% chance it's true. The sun and moon shift in an instant. Over a month has passed. I never expected this. Truly never expected it, said the Emperor, reading the secret report. The Emperor was furious. Your Majesty, please take care of your imperial health. We should keep this matter quiet for now and turn their scheme against them. Minister Su is right. Make all necessary arrangements. I want to see what else these petty clowns dare to attempt. The Empress's birthday celebration. A general pardon throughout the realm. Today is the Empress's birthday. Celebrating with your Majesty brings joy to all under heaven. Long live the Empress 1,000 years. 10,000 years. May the Empress's happiness be as vast as the Eastern Sea, and her longevity rival the southern mountains. The wine is poisoned. Just moments after everyone drank the wine, suddenly, someone let out a loud cry, clutched their stomach, and collapsed to the ground, quickly becoming motionless. One after another, people fell to the ground, and at that moment, a group of armed men suddenly burst in from outside. Only 6 people remained seated there. Your Majesty, Empress. Crown Prince, Su Xiaoxiao, Prince Ning, Su Wanwan, my dear princely brother, I never expected you wouldn't drink that cup of wine. It seems your birthday wishes for this empress mother weren't sincere after all. A bastard will always be a bastard. Crown Prince, what are your intentions?" Upon hearing the emperor's words, the Crown Prince suddenly burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, my dear imperial father, you've grown old, you've sat on that throne long enough. Originally, I planned to wait until your demise before inheriting this empire, but never did I expect how utterly inappropriate that you'd entertain thoughts of changing the succession." The emperor's eyes blazed with fury at the Crown Prince's words. "This land is mine, and I shall bestow it upon whomever I please." The Crown Prince clapped his hands and laughed. "You're right, but soon this land will be mine, and I shall decide who lives or dies, rest assured. I will surpass you, this realm shall flourish greater under my rule than yours." "Crown Prince, this is treason." Chi Yu stood up, holding a long sword as he positioned himself before the emperor and empress. "Su Xiaoxiao, I truly never expected that you would join the Crown Prince in rebellion. Thankfully, you're no longer part of our Su family, or else because of you, our entire Su household would have been wiped out." "Su Wanwan, go ahead and be arrogant, keep being arrogant. I'd like to see how long you can keep this up. Since childhood, after my parents passed away, why did you become the legitimate daughter of the Su family? Why were you the high and mighty young mistress while I was just someone living under others' roofs? I refuse to accept this. I will fight for what's mine. Fortunately, I've gained the Crown Prince's favor, and today I will trample you beneath my feet. Don't worry. I won't kill you, I'll make sure you're ridden by thousands and crushed by tens of thousands." Su Xiaoxiao had now also cast aside her mask of hypocrisy. "Fine, truly splendid. Our Su family raised nothing but an ungrateful wretch like you. You claim our family mistreated you. But search your conscience, didn't we treat you well? You received everything befitting a young mistress of this household, and to the world you were known as a Su family daughter. Never did I imagine the day would come when you'd think of our family this way. Stop pretending to be virtuous. Everything your Su family possesses rightfully belonged to my father. How dare your family become chancellor after my father's death? I'll never accept this. Why couldn't it have been your father who died?" "Xiao Xiao, you're wrong." At this moment, Chancellor Su rose from where he'd fallen on the ground, having originally intended to prolong his act. But upon hearing Su Xiaoxiao's words, he no longer wished to keep up the pretense. "Since you've brought things to this point today, it's time you learned certain truths." Father Su sighed deeply. "If only he had known it would come to this. I've always told you and others that your father's entire family perished at the hands of enemies. But you're mistaken. Your survival until now was bought with our Su family's hereditary nobility. Back then, your father was caught colluding with foreign powers. The evidence irrefutable. The entire household should have been executed. I traded my personal relationship with the emperor and our family's noble title for your life. Never did I imagine things would turn out like this. Now I deeply regret saving you." "No way, absolutely not. You're all lying to me. I won't believe any of you. I'll make sure you all die horrible deaths. The truth hurts the most, yet it's also the most convincing. Xiao Xiao, the truth doesn't matter. What matters is you're about to become the mother of our nation, while they'll soon be prisoners. Crown Prince, if you put down your knife and admit your mistakes now, I might still spare your life." Hearing the emperor's words, the Crown Prince looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Father, you've truly grown old. How could you utter such words? Are you senile? Can't you see the situation before you? Everything is in my hands now. Why waste more words with you, father? If you wish to leave with dignity, issue an abdication edict now. I might still grant you a plot within the palace to live out your days in peace. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Sometimes one must sacrifice family for righteousness." "Heh, I'd like to see how you plan to sacrifice family for righteousness," Su Wanwan said with a laugh. "Bitch, I'll start with you first. Guards, seize that slut. Whoever catches her gets to have her." Silence, complete silence filled the hall. "Do it, I said do it now." The Crown Prince suddenly felt an ominous premonition. Turning his head, he saw everyone staring at him like he was nothing but a ridiculous clown. "What are you doing? I ordered you to act, didn't you hear me? Do you want me to exterminate your 9 clans? You've lost." Those 3 words shattered the crown prince's heart. He was no fool. The way everyone looked at him told him his rebellion had been exposed. Half a month has passed since the incident. Prince Ning, now the crown prince, sits in the Eastern Palace with Su Wanwan by his side. That day's rebellion attempt by the crown prince ended in failure. In truth, every move of the crown prince was under surveillance by all parties, only they themselves believed their plans were flawless. The emperor actually wanted to give this crown prince a chance. But he failed to seize it. In the end, the emperor still didn't execute this crown prince. He was merely placed under house arrest. As for Su Xiaoxiao going mad, she was confined in the cold palace. The grand spectacle ended just as it began. The queen's birthday banquet resumed thereafter, with civil and military officials essentially playing their parts. Prince Ning was also recognized as returning to his roots, indeed the biological son of the emperor and empress. A very cliched finale. Young master, I never thought I'd end up marrying the crown prince after all. Do you like it? I love the crown prince as he is now, and our unborn child will surely love the father I've chosen for them. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Jiang Yang was the wealthiest man in the capital. Pursuing my elder sister for 2 years and sparing no effort just to earn her smile, until that day at the flower viewing banquet, when he sent another priceless ice silk gown envied by every noble maiden in the capital. Standing in the corner, I softly asked her, "Elder sister, do you truly not care for him?" My noble sister merely gave a contemptuous smile and declared loudly, "A man with neither military merits nor literary talent, nothing but a merchant reeking of filthy lucre. Only those short-sighted and greedy would deem him worthy." Her words drew waves of mocking agreement from the hall, effectively extinguishing any remaining interest others might have had in Jiang Yang. I lowered my head, staring at my worn-out shoes and socks. What a coincidence, isn't eldest sister talking about me? Eldest sister frowned, still processing my words when I turned and walked away. Outside the door, he turned away with a heavy heart. I stopped him, tilting my head up with a smile. Though I'm a daughter born of a concubine, I'm still a young lady of the Marquis household. She may despise your merchant's stench, but I find it quite pleasing. Marry me, what say you? I lifted my gaze to Jiang Yang, enunciating those words, "Marry me, what say you?" with crystalline clarity. True enough. Astonishment flashed across his face. A glimmer of disbelief flickered through his previously despondent eyes as he instinctively glanced toward the Marquis' residence. The strains of silken bamboo music drifted through the half-opened vermilion gates, mingling with noble ladies' laughter, a world of revelry that might as well have existed in another realm, yet not a single soul peered out to witness us. Yet the pile of gold, silver, and jewels stored in brocade boxes behind him seemed somewhat dulled by comparison. I leisurely crossed my arms. "Stop looking, your beloved elder sister doesn't fancy you. She's still waiting for General Gu's return." Jiang Yang suddenly turned to stare at me, his expression inscrutable, as if he couldn't comprehend the meaning behind my words. "I'm rather puzzled. Don't you know, eldest sister has fancied General Gu for 3 years now. Every respectable family in the capital knows this." His brows furrowed deeply upon hearing this, his voice tinged with frustration. "She never told me. Every time I gave her gifts, though she'd refuse verbally, she always accepted them." I thought she had feelings for me but was just being shy. I couldn't help but purse my lips. This person seemed shrewd. So why was he acting so foolishly about this matter? Any random servant from the Marquis's household could have told him that 3 years ago, before young General Gu went off to war, my elder sister had gone to the city gates to see him off. But with no news of young General Gu from the front lines these past 2 years, fewer people spoke of it. And he truly seemed to know nothing. My gaze swept over the glittering jewels behind him, and my fingers itched with temptation. I edged closer. "Then take a look at me. What if I married you?" "You?" Jiang Yang sized me up thoroughly, his tone frank. "In terms of temperament, you're 3 points better than the young mistress." But, seeing an opportunity, I pressed eagerly. "But what?" he sighed, his gaze falling on my faded sleeves. "Pity you're sallow and thin, looking rather frail." Let me think it over. That thinking stretched on endlessly. The sun gradually climbed to its zenith as I stood there until my legs ached and sweat beaded at my temples. With an impatient curl of the lips, my heart began to pound. Was this decision of mine too impulsive? But then again, what if it was impulsive? I had no way back anyway. My birth mother passed away early, and my father shows me no affection, even if Jiang Yang refuses. The worst that could happen is following my elder sister's original arrangement, becoming the second wife of that widowed Minister Li in his 50s. Could things get any worse? But it's taking far too long to think. Just as my patience wore thin and I was about to wave my sleeve saying forget I mentioned it, I noticed Jiang Yang's brows suddenly relax, all traces of his usual careless demeanor vanishing from his face. I couldn't help but straighten my expression as well. What are you doing? Jiang Yang was momentarily stunned by my question, then immediately stood up straight and bowed solemnly to me. Second young miss, please wait for me at the manor for half a day. I, Jiang, will bring people immediately to propose marriage. Jiang Yang's marriage proposal arrived first thing the next morning. The betrothal gifts stretched all the way from the Jiang residence to the Marquis's manor gates. Agates, jade, and silks piled up like small mountains. Winding 3 times around the capital's main street, drawing crowds of curious onlookers, standing on the corridor watching from afar, half the weight lifted from my heart. Even though father had always looked down upon merchants, who would ever turn their nose up at money, before half an hour had passed, the steward came to report that Jiang Yang had additionally sent several million taels of silver notes to the manor. The Marquis, who had treated me as invisible just days before, now had his mustache practically quivering with delight. Wanwan, when you marry over there, you must serve young Master Jiang well, no more of your willful tantrums. Her words sent shivers down my spine, and I kept my head bowed without uttering a word. Suddenly, my elder sister rushed out from nowhere. Spotting the jade Rui scepter displayed in the courtyard, she grabbed it and flung it to the ground. Pointing an accusing finger at me, she screamed, "What else does he have besides money? You're shamelessly chasing after what I've discarded, you disgraceful wretch." I secretly rolled my eyes, truly unable to comprehend what she was so angry about. Back then, it was she who complained about people reeking of money, yet now that someone has offered a generous betrothal gift, she turns around to blame me. I touched the gold bracelet Jiang Yang sent over yesterday. Its weighty presence pressing against my wrist brought a sense of security. From now on, I wouldn't have to go hungry anymore. Why waste time quarreling with her? The wedding date was set urgently, with the auspicious time being just half a month later. Jiang Yang, fearing I might overexert myself, had someone deliver a message early on, saying the finest embroiderers in the capital were already working on the wedding dress, and that I should simply rest. Not only that, he also sent 2 matrons over, not to enforce rules, but to set up a small kitchen in my courtyard. Preparing daily servings of ginseng and bird's nest soup. Second miss, the matron brought over a bowl of white fungus soup, smiling as she said, "Young master specifically instructed that with your delicate constitution, you must recuperate properly to grow old together with him. Don't what?" I chewed on the phrase "grow old together," my cheeks suddenly burning, pressing for more details. The nanny's shoulders trembled with suppressed laughter. The young master said, "Don't walk ahead, he doesn't want to marry again, just one is enough." My heart pounded wildly, though I merely snorted in response. This guy looks like a slacker, but he sure knows how to sweet talk. Whether to believe him or not is another matter. I never asked for eternal love, just enough money to spend and food to eat. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. On the wedding day, red silk carpets stretched all the way from the Marquis's residence to the Jiang manor, and the Swana horns in the procession blared so loudly that even a royal prince's wedding might not have matched its grandeur. That night, red candles burned brightly while warm fragrances wafted through the bedchamber. In my dazed state, I only vaguely remember Jiang Yang whispering in my ear, "Seems you still need more nourishment," before I drifted into deep slumber. By the time I awoke again, sunlight had already reached the foot of the bed. The maid came in carrying water, smiling as she said, "Young master gave orders early this morning not to let anyone wake you, saying you were exhausted last night." Hearing this, my face instantly flushed crimson, wishing I could vanish into thin air. Just then, Jiang Yang lifted the curtain to enter, his ears so red they seemed about to drip blood. His entire demeanor visibly awkward. "You're awake," he scratched his head, his voice slightly lower than usual. I just went for my morning sword practice, after you've had breakfast. I'll take you to see the family estates." During the first 2 days after marrying into the Jiang household, Jiang Yang took me to visit every notable place in the capital. When I grew tired of riding in the carriage, he brought 2 gentle horses and patiently taught me how to hold the reins. When my feet ached from walking, without hesitation he crouched down and patted his back, inviting me to climb on. He's the only heir of the Jiang family, with his parents long gone. Since there's no elder to enforce decorum, we've become quite unrestrained. He grinned broadly, his handsome face brimming with pride. Even if my parents were still here, they couldn't control me. "Don't be shy, we should spend more time together to nurture our feelings." I nodded solemnly in agreement. "That makes sense. Even if I'm after his money, with affection involved, he'll only give me more in the future, even if one day I truly annoy him. Remembering this bond would at least keep me from starving. My own mother ended up so miserable precisely because she and my father shared no affection. I mustn't repeat their mistakes." Seeing my prompt agreement, Jiang Yang slapped his thigh. "Hey, I thought you'd be shy for a while, but who knew we'd hit it off so well?" Watching his silly expression, I pursed my lips in mock disdain while secretly feeling giddy inside. For someone who looks so sharp, he's surprisingly easy to please. Yet sometimes in quiet moments, I still can't figure out why he agreed to marry me so quickly. My elder sister was the renowned talented lady of the capital, and I couldn't hold a candle to her. He pursued my elder sister for 2 years back then, so how did he suddenly take a liking to me? But then I thought, dwelling on this was pointless. Now I'm Jiang Yang's rightful wife, and that's enough. On the day of our return visit, Jiang Yang had lavish gifts prepared early and held my hand tightly as we headed to the Marquis's residence. But just as they reached the entrance, 2 servants stretched out their arms to block their way. Jiang Yang frowned, his voice dropping several degrees colder. "What's going on?" The servants lowered their heads and stammered. "The Marquis, Madam, and eldest Miss have all gone to the city gates. Young General Jiyu has returned victorious from battle." And the Marquis was so delighted he insisted on greeting him personally. Welcoming the young general, Jiang Yang's face instantly turned cold, his voice rising sharply. "Does no one in the Marquis's household remember that today is the second young Miss's homecoming day?" The servant was intimidated by his imposing manner and couldn't utter a complete sentence for a long while. I tugged at Jiang Yang's sleeve and said calmly, "If they don't remember, then they don't. I never wanted to come back anyway. No one in this Marquis's household truly cares for me. It's merely a place I've lived for over a decade. Whether I return or not makes no difference." Yet Jiang Yang didn't relax his grip. Instead, he tightened his hold on my hand, his eyes blazing with anger. "You're the second young miss of the Marquis's household, my properly wedded wife. When I gifted those millions of taels back then, the old man couldn't stop grinning from ear to ear. How dare they treat us with such disrespect now?" Grabbing my hand, he turned and strode straight toward the city gates. "Come on, let's go see for ourselves. Could General Jiyu possibly treat them as well as I do? Can he really surpass me, their second son-in-law?" The city gates were already surrounded by crowds, with people standing on tiptoe and pressing forward, all waiting to welcome General Jiyu, protected by Jiang Yang at the forefront of the crowd. I peered through gaps between people and caught sight of my elder sister standing beside the Marquis's wife, trembling with excitement. After waiting nearly quarter of an hour, hoofbeats finally sounded in the distance. The crowd instantly fell silent. Then someone shouted loudly, "The young general has returned." Following everyone's gaze, I saw young General Jiyu clad in silver armor, riding a tall horse at the forefront. But the next second, my eyes widened abruptly. He was actually holding a woman in his arms. She leaned against his chest, covered by his cloak, clearly indicating an intimate relationship. I instinctively turned to look at my elder sister. Her face was as pale as paper, her hands clutching the hem of her dress so tightly her knuckles whitened. The Marquis and Marchioness weren't faring much better. Their previously smiling faces darkened instantly. As if ink could drip from them, rooted stiffly in place. "Look, Wanwan," Jiang Yang beside me suddenly laughed, his voice laced with mockery. "A fine marquisate that doesn't even await your homecoming, only to come here and be humiliated. They treat you with such disregard today, mark my words. They'll live to regret it." But I had no mind to listen to his words, feeling vaguely uneasy inside. If young General Gu already had someone in his heart, my elder sister would never stoop to being a concubine. What about Jiang Yang then? He pursued my elder sister for 2 years back then. What if he hadn't given up yet? If my sister had no other prospects left, would he demote me to concubine and go begging for her hand again? The more I thought about it, the more frightened I became, and I unconsciously tightened my grip. Jiang Yang turned his head to look at me. "Are you cold?" Without waiting for my reply, he reached out and pulled me into his embrace, wrapping me tightly in his cloak. I pressed against his chest, my restless heart calming slightly as I couldn't help but nuzzle against him. Jiang Yang couldn't suppress his laughter at my nuzzling. "Wanwan, why are you like a little fox?" I once raised a white fox at the manor. It was very affectionate and loved rubbing against people just like you. "A fox?" I buried myself in his embrace, breathing in his faint scent of pine resin, and remained silent. He only thought of me as a docile little fox, unaware that to survive in this world, I had long become a fox that could bite. I just didn't know if he would still like me like this. The news of General Gu bringing a girl back to the city spread throughout the capital in less than half a day. Word soon spread that the young general had been wounded on the battlefield and was unexpectedly saved by this Miss Lin. The two fell in love at first sight and pledged their lives to each other. They had already performed the wedding ceremony at the border and had been together for a year. Now she had returned pregnant with his child. As the maid brought in tea, she couldn't help but sigh at the story. They say the young general plans to use his military merits to secure an imperial title for Miss Lin, then request His Majesty's blessing for their marriage. Truly besotted, fearing she might be slighted as a frontier girl, my teacup paused mid-air as I nodded faintly. Indeed, his devotion ran deep, yet thoughts of Jiang Yang surfaced unbidden, stirring unease that prompted me to order servants to track his recent whereabouts. Before any news arrived, however, my elder sister made an unexpected appearance. No one invited her, yet she came knocking on her own. Heading straight to find Jiang Yang, my heart skipped a beat as I hurried down the corridor toward the front hall. Just as I reached the doorway, I saw Jiang Yang seated in the host's position, with my elder sister sitting beside him. "Wanwan's here, come take a seat." Jiang Yang spotted me and immediately waved me over to his side. My elder sister's gaze, however, remained fixed intently on me as she suddenly spoke up. "That outfit you're wearing is quite nice, the style is novel. It's just a shame it's on you." I lowered my head to glance at my lapels. "This is the brocade skirt Jiang Yang gifted me a few days ago, light as gossamer, embroidered with subtle patterns that shimmer like moonlight draped around me when I move." Before I could speak, my elder sister turned to Jiang Yang. Yang, I want this one, make her take it off for me." My blood ran cold as childhood memories of her bullying surged back. It has always been this way. If she wanted something of mine, she didn't need to beat around the bush. A single straightforward word was enough to take it. On my 6th birthday, the butterfly-patterned robe my mother spent half a year embroidering was taken from me after I wore it for just half a day. Father even decreed that from then on, Mother could only make clothes for her, while I had to make do with her hand-me-downs. I lowered my head, fingers clutching my skirt, instinctively turning to remove my clothes, but the next second, Jiang Yang's displeased voice rang out, "If you want it, go buy it yourself. This is a gift I specifically chose for Wanwan, there's no reason she should give it up for you." My elder sister choked on her words, her face instantly turning ashen as she whipped her head around to glare at me, her tone laced with threat. "EWN, you wanted to give the dress to me, didn't you?" My chest tightened. Then, Jiang Yang gently touched my hand, softening his voice. "Wanwan, do you like this dress I gave you? Did you want to give it to someone else?" I looked up at him. Finding no impatience in his gaze, only earnest inquiry, my eyes suddenly grew hot. This was the first time since Mother's passing that someone had asked me, "Do you want this? Or do you like it?" I sniffled. I don't want to give it away, I like it very much." My elder sister glared at me fiercely one last time before storming off in a huff, her sleeves fluttering angrily, the moment she stepped out the door, before I could even gather my thoughts to ponder her purpose for visiting. Jiang Yang suddenly pulled me into his embrace, his palm patted my back gently, warmth seeping through the fabric, gradually melting the tension from my stiffened body. This feeling, it was just like when my mother used to soothe me to sleep as a child. Back then, my mother was an embroiderer. I rested my head on his shoulder, my voice unconsciously softening as I slowly voiced the memories buried deep in my heart. She originally worked in a brothel selling her skills but not her body. Until the Marquis deceived her into entering his household. After conceiving me, the primary wife secretly poisoned her face, and from then on the Marquis despised us both. Recalling everything from the past felt like remembering a lifetime ago. After the Marquis took a dislike to us, the dilapidated courtyard we lived in became even shabbier than the servants' quarters. The year I turned 7, my legitimate sister was to attend a palace banquet. And the madam forced my mother to stay up all night sewing dresses. In the dead of winter, Mother's hands became frostbitten and ulcerated from the cold. She developed a high fever and eventually went blind from the illness. Yet even then, the madam wouldn't let her be. Later, she framed Mother for losing her virtue and had her drowned in the pond. I clenched the fingers hidden in my sleeve, my heart tightening. No one knew that 3 years ago. When the mistress fell off a cliff while worshipping Buddha, it was I who secretly added mad horse medicine to her horse feed. The cost of that medicine exhausted all the loose silver I had saved over several years. I didn't dare say this aloud. I feared Jiang Yang would think me wicked-hearted if he knew, that it would scare him away. After saying this, I looked up at Jiang Yang and found him listening intently, his eyes filled with tenderness. My heart softened, and words spilled out uncontrollably. "Back when you pursued my elder sister for those 2 years, I kept thinking how wonderful it would be if you liked me instead. Never did I imagine I'd actually marry you someday. You're so good. If you dare like someone else, I'll lock you up where only I can see you." The moment these words left my mouth, Jiang Yang froze in place. I suddenly snapped back to reality, my heart instantly fluttering with panic. How could I have blurted out all my inner thoughts, in this world? What woman would dare utter such improper words? Would he think me frightening? Would he regret marrying me? But the next moment, Jiang Yang suddenly held me even tighter, his voice brimming with excitement. "I'm so happy, Wanwan. I never imagined you'd like me this much. Don't worry, I'll treat you well. Mother watching from heaven would rest easy." General Gu held a victory banquet that day. Jiang Yang also received an invitation and took me to the general's residence early that morning. As soon as I entered the courtyard, I spotted my elder sister there too. Though her expression looked rather unpleasant, my attendant inquired and returned to report that she had come early to visit the general's wife, only to be publicly slapped by her. Naturally, my sister couldn't bear this humiliation. Covering her face before the crowd, she complained indignantly, "I merely thought to accompany the general's wife around the capital since she's new here, hoping for some friendly conversation. Who'd have thought I'd be mistaken for coveting the general? This is truly unjust." Whispers immediately arose around us, most commenting on how the general's wife was already showing jealousy and a fiery temper right after entering the household. The general's wife's face darkened, her murderous aura making everyone shudder. Meanwhile, my legitimate elder sister secretly curled her lips, a flash of triumph gleaming in her eyes. I knew that smug expression all too well, when I was young. She always twisted right and wrong like this, making even the servants bold enough to step on me. Later, I learned to hide my edge and minimize my presence, so she couldn't be bothered to target me anymore. But this time, her clever scheme clearly backfired. "Is that so?" The general's wife suddenly spoke up, her voice so clear and bright that it silenced everyone. "So Miss Lin claims she wants to befriend me, only to have me step aside and make way for your friendship. I'm not angry, I'll just mention it to the general and have him take you in as a concubine." Though I wonder, she deliberately drew out her words, her gaze drifting beyond the crowd. What does the general think? The crowd erupted in instant uproar. My elder sister followed her gaze and locked eyes with General Jiu Xiao, who had just entered, her face instantly freezing stiff. After a dazed moment, some thought seemed to occur to her, her cheeks actually flushed pink. And she shifted her feet as if wanting to step forward and speak, but General Jiu Xiao didn't even glance her way. Walking straight past to stand beside his wife, he reached out to ruffle her hair, coaxing softly, "Don't be angry, someone like her isn't worth your temper." After placating his wife, he finally turned to his elder sister, his face as cold as ice. 3 years ago, I told you plainly there was never any bond between us, and I would never marry you. Now you dare threaten my wife. From this day forth, you are no longer welcome in the general's manor. Leave." With that, he raised his hand, signaling the guards to escort her out. His elder sister's face instantly drained of color, having offended the highly favored General Jiu. Which respectable official's son in the capital would dare marry her as his principal wife? The surrounding crowd also stepped back, quietly distancing themselves from her, their murmurs filled with disdain. My elder sister covered her face and ran off weeping, but within a few steps, she bumped into Jiang Yang and me standing aside watching the commotion. "Brother Yang," her tearful cry sent shivers down my spine. Jiang Yang didn't even bat an eyelid as he took my hand and walked toward General Jiu. When General Jiu spotted us, his eyes lit up and he immediately said to his wife with a smile, "Madam, this is the merchant Jiang I told you about. Our victory owes much to his continuous grain donations to the border. I've already reported this to His Majesty, who intends to bestow honors upon Merchant Jiang." No sooner had the words been spoken than a startled cry rang out from behind. "What?" I turned to see it was my elder sister by birth. She stared at Jiang Yang with shock and suspicion, then seemed to resolve herself. Ignoring the strange looks from those around her, she turned and walked away. Ever since her setback at the general's residence, my elder sister had been hiding in the Marquis's household, too afraid to step outside for days. She didn't dare venture out until the commotion outside gradually subsided. These days passed rather leisurely for me. Jiang Yang claimed practicing martial arts could both strengthen the body and provide self-defense, so he accompanied me in training for half an hour daily. During spare moments, he also taught me carving. It was only then that I realized he wasn't just skilled in business, his carving technique was remarkably impressive too. He could pick up any piece of wood and, within moments, carve a lifelike little animal. Watching him with envy, I decided to learn as well, hoping to carve a small likeness of Jiang Yang. But my hands were clumsy. After wasting over 20 pieces of wood, I barely managed to carve something recognizable. Clutching that rough-hewn wooden figure, I excitedly ran toward the study. Eager to surprise him, I had just reached the doorway when I heard my legitimate elder sister's voice inside. My footsteps froze instantly. Why was she here? Why hadn't anyone informed me? My heart pounded like a drum as I pressed myself against the door, holding my breath to eavesdrop. Yang. My elder sister's voice carried a deliberately fragile tone. "If you demote Yin to concubine status and marry me as your principal wife, I'll let bygones be bygones. Also, my birthday is in a few days. On that day, you must buy me the Luo goddess hairpin from Nanyang as my gift. You're not allowed to spend it with her." My fingers tightened abruptly around the wooden figurine, knuckles turning white. Just as I expected Jiang Yang to refuse, I heard him say, "Let me think about it." Those words sent a sudden chill through my heart. I didn't dare listen any longer, nor did I have the heart to deliver the wooden statue. Turning quietly, I stepped away from the study with feather-light footsteps. The wooden statue dug painfully into my palm, yet I lacked the strength to loosen my grip. Ever since overhearing those words in the study, my nights became restless. The slightest sound would startle me awake. It was precisely this light sleep that made me realize Jiang Yang would quietly lift the quilt every late night. Clutching a wine flask as he went to the courtyard to drink, his silhouette looked particularly desolate. Indeed, he still hadn't let go of my elder sister in his heart. Perhaps he had already secretly agreed to her demands. just waiting for the right moment to tell me about demoting me from wife to concubine. I pulled the quilt over my head, suppressing that lingering sliver of hope. Mother once said that a woman must never give her heart lightly, lest she fall into eternal ruin. I should have learned this lesson when she was falsely accused by the mistress and forced to jump into the river to prove her innocence. Since Jiang Yang could betray me, then I too must reclaim my heart. From now on I'll save more money, and when I've gathered enough dowry, I'll seize the chance to run away. I'll go to a small town where nobody knows me, eat my favorite pastries every day, wear comfortable clothes, and never have to mind anyone's opinions. Wouldn't that be better than living here in constant fear? With these thoughts, the heavy feeling in my chest finally eased a little. In the following days, Jiang Yang acted as if nothing had happened, still accompanying me daily for sword practice, teaching me carving, and finding all sorts of ways to make me happy. But as I looked at his smiling face, all I felt was irritation, and even the pastries he handed me lost their usual flavor. Early that morning, Jiang Yang said he was going south for a business deal. Before leaving, he repeatedly reminded me, "Wanwan, if anyone invites you to a banquet during my absence, especially from the Marquis's household, don't go. Wait for me to handle it when I return." I lowered my eyes and nodded, though my heart was full of doubt. Since he's already agreed to marry my elder sister, why is he still so concerned about me? Could it be that he feels guilty and wants to compensate me with a few more days? I've pondered this for several days without reaching any conclusion, while the nausea in my body grows increasingly pronounced. At first I thought it was just anger from Jiang Yang's betrayal, but when even the smell of greasy food made me sick, I realized something was wrong. I quietly dismissed the servants and went to the clinic myself. The elderly physician finished taking my pulse, a smile spreading across his face. "Congratulations, madam, you're with child. It's still early, so you must take good care of yourself." With child? I'm going to have a baby. I stood frozen in place. For several days in a row, I holed up in my residence, my heart feeling like a waterlogged cotton wad, heavy and tangled. What brought me joy was that I now had my own child. Even if I were to take the money and run someday, at least I wouldn't be utterly alone. Yet it also pained me that this child would enter the world without a father. I've already decided, when he asks about his father someday, I'll tell him his daddy was carried off by wolves and has been gone for ages. I ran to the treasury, secretly calculating how much money I should take with me. Gold, silver, and jewels would be too heavy to carry, just banknotes would do. 100,000 taels should be enough for me and the child to live comfortably our whole lives. Shouldn't it? "Madam, a card has arrived from the Marquis's residence." The maid's voice interrupted my train of thought. Unfolding the invitation, I saw it was my elder sister hosting a birthday banquet, specifically inviting me. I nodded knowingly, seeing right through the situation. This banquet would never be simple. She must be planning to strike at me when the opportunity arises. My elder sister's birthday feast was set amidst the vibrant blooms of spring. Upon returning to the Marquis's estate, the fragrance of flowers filled every corner, refreshing both heart and mind. No sooner had I entered than I saw my elder sister mingling effortlessly among the noble ladies, smiling as if nothing were amiss until someone whispered something in her ear, prompting her to turn and leave. I withdrew my gaze and sipped my tea quietly, having no intention of joining that commotion. Suddenly, a maid approached with a teacup, then abruptly stumbled, sending the entire cup's contents splashing onto me. "Forgive me, second miss." She hastily knelt down, her voice trembling with tears as she spoke. "Let me take you to change clothes, but please don't tell the young mistress. If she finds out I made a mistake at her birthday banquet, she'll beat me to death." I stared at her intently for several seconds before nodding slowly. This trick was exactly the same as when the madam framed my mother years ago. Did she think that just because I was young when mother died, I wouldn't remember anything? Does my elder sister want to ruin my reputation by scheming to have a groom violate me, just like she did to my mother? "Jiang Yang, were you also involved in this plan?" Following the maid to a room's entrance, she suddenly claimed she needed to fetch clothes and turned to leave. Seizing the moment she turned away, I knocked her unconscious with a swift chop to the neck. Didn't my elder sister want me to enter this room? Then I'll wait to trick her into coming and send her in instead. I was just looking for a servant to pass a message, saying Jiang Yang had a letter for her, to lure her to the backyard, but before I could find anyone, suddenly unbearable sounds came from inside the room. Listening carefully, that female voice actually belonged to my legitimate elder sister. What is going on? If this were a trap set by my legitimate sister and Jiang Yang for me, they should have been extremely cautious. How could they have made such a mistake? Unless, a sudden thought surged up, making my heart pound wildly. Just as I was about to leave, I saw the Marquis approaching from the direction of his residence with a group of people. With nowhere to hide, I hastily opened the door to the neighboring room and ducked inside. No sooner had I hidden in the adjacent room than the window suddenly flew open, startling me. Looking up, I was shocked to see Jiang Yang. He grabbed me and looked me up and down, relaxing his tense shoulders only after confirming I wasn't injured. His voice laced with lingering fear. The secret guards told me you'd come to the Marquis's residence. Even though they were following you, I still couldn't rest easy. So I rushed over. I stared at him blankly. How did you? Jiang Yang said to me with frustration. That day when Yi Qingyang came to me and told me not to be in the capital on her birthday, I knew she was up to no good. As he spoke, his gaze swept toward the noisy commotion next door. Filled with disdain, I froze, instinctively asking, was the person inside arranged by you? Yes, Jiang Yang snorted, then pretended to gag as if remembering something. That day she came to me, saying she wanted to marry me, asked me to ruin your reputation first, then drown you in the pond. I must have been blind to chase her for 2 years. Watching his exaggerated act, I burst out laughing. Laughing turned to tears as days of pent-up grievances and unease suddenly surged forth, streaming down my cheeks without warning. Jiang Yang panicked, quickly pulling me into his embrace while patting my back and offering gentle explanations. Turns out after eldest sister was publicly rejected by General Gu, her wounded pride made her completely abandon those aspirations. Later, when she happened to see Jiang Yang on the streets several times, each occasion catching him buying me jewelry or selecting pastries, regret took hold, breeding jealousy until she resolved to steal him back. She sought out Jiang Yang, proposing to ruin my reputation through scheming so he would divorce me and marry her instead. Jiang Yang pretended to agree precisely to uncover her plans and make her suffer the consequences of her own actions. I never wanted you to know about these vile matters, fearing they might frighten you. Do you, perhaps, resent me for causing her downfall? I shook my head, my voice still slightly hoarse. It serves her right, she brought this upon herself with all her wicked deeds. As soon as these words were spoken, the commotion next door gradually quieted down. No doubt the Marquis had driven everyone away, leaving only the legitimate sister and that servant behind. Before long, the sound of the legitimate sister's hysterical weeping echoed through the halls. It shouldn't be like this. It should be EWN. Then came a sharp slap sound, presumably the Marquis had struck her, followed by the Marquis's icy voice saying, now the whole city knows, if you don't marry that lame servant, who else would take you? Jiang Yang held my hand and led me back to the Jiang residence. On the way, he finally explained why he had pursued my elder sister in the first place. My elder brother always said I lacked seriousness, that if I kept idling my days away, no one would be willing to marry me. I couldn't stand it, so I made a bet with him that without relying on my royal status, I could still make something of myself and marry the most renowned woman in the capital. At that time, my elder sister was the most beautiful woman in the capital, and she was talented too, so he chose her and went to great lengths to win her over. Brother, I abruptly stopped in my tracks, staring at him in astonishment. Jiang Yang slapped his forehead, his face instantly paling with panic as his voice softened. I forgot in the heat of the moment, I haven't told you yet. I didn't mean to hide it from you, please don't be angry. As he spoke, his eyes reddened, on the verge of tears. His expression made me burst into laughter, though inwardly I felt somewhat guilty. So all this time I'd misunderstood his lingering feelings for my elder sister. It turned out to be like this. I'd even secretly planned to abscond with the banknotes. Thankfully my hands moved slowly, preventing a grave mistake. Seeing me laugh, Jiang Yang finally relaxed and scratched his head sheepishly. I'm glad you don't blame me. These days I've been worried sick, holding a wine jar in the courtyard every night after you fell asleep, wondering how to tell you about my identity. He cupped my face in his hands, his gaze earnest. That day at the Marquis's gate, when you looked up and told me I think you're wonderful, I thought, how could there be such a brave and beautiful girl? Since then, no one has ever compared to you. My heart warmed. But I remembered something and couldn't resist teasing him. You were the one who complained about my sallow complexion and frail body. Jiang Yang quickly waved his hands, his face flushing red with urgency. How could I complain? I was just thinking that I needed to nourish you right away. You looked so fragile, as if you'd collapse after 2 steps. My heart ached for you. After Jiang Yang revealed his true identity to me, he went to see the emperor at court the very next day. He returned beaming with joy, embracing me the moment he stepped through the door. Wan, His Majesty praised me endlessly, saying I've married the most wonderful wife, as if it weren't obvious, with you as my bride. Of course you're the absolute best. Before I could respond, a palace eunuch arrived bearing an imperial decree, which he read aloud before the assembled court. Jiang Yang, as the emperor's only full brother, was granted the title Prince of Liang, while I, now Princess Consort of Liang, also received the highest rank of noble consort. Jiang Yang was so delighted that he picked me up and spun me around. Wan, what else do you want? Tell me, I'll have His Majesty give you everything. Stop spinning, I'm feeling nauseous. I tapped his forehead, and he hastily stopped, full of apologies. I'm sorry, I'm just too happy, I said with a smile that I had a surprise for him. But Jiang Yang couldn't help laughing, as I was puzzled. He took something out of his sleeve. It was actually the wooden figurine I had tried to carve for him earlier. But it wasn't the one after 20-some attempts, it was the very first version. The wooden carving resembled a worm, its facial features indistinct, with stubby legs and an elongated body. My face instantly flushed crimson, and I hurriedly waved my hands. Not this one. Then which one? Jiang Yang raised an eyebrow, still teasing me. I treasure this wooden figurine dearly. It sits in my study every day. I was afraid he'd tease me about the wooden figurine again, so I quickly said, I'm pregnant. The smile froze on Jiang Yang's face. He stood stunned for quite a while before suddenly snapping out of it. Wan, what did you just say? I stifled my laughter. Are you dumbstruck? I'm pregnant. Jiang Yang's voice trembled. Really? I'm going to be a father. Wan, you're amazing. Come here. Lie down. No, wait, let me carry you. Ever since Jiang Yang's identity as a prince was revealed, the Marquis has been visiting Prince Liang's mansion every day, fussing over him with excessive concern. It's been driving me mad. In the end, it was Jiang Yang who spoke up, saying I needed peace and quiet during my pregnancy, which finally kept the Marquis at bay. Meanwhile, my elder sister's life took a drastic turn for the worse. After being forced to marry that lame-footed servant, the Marquis completely abandoned her. I heard that after my elder sister married into that family, she couldn't adapt to the hard life at all. Accustomed to having clothes handed to her and meals served, she now had to live in a dilapidated thatched hut. She threw tantrums every day, and when the servants saw the Marquis truly ignoring her, they even dared to hit her. She ran back to the Marquis's mansion in tears, but the Marquis coldly ordered her to return. Later, she actually went to the gates of Prince Liang's residence, crying and screaming, "It should have been me as the Princess of Liang, who didn't know you fancied me back then. That bitchy Dublin dared to steal my man. She deserves to die. Divorce her, and I'll marry you." Jiang Yang's face darkened as he ordered her to be beaten and thrown out. Not long after, I heard my elder sister had lost her voice. Though I pretended not to know the reason behind it, some days later, the Marquis actually came knocking at my door, seeking credit. He boasted about having my elder sister's legs broken so she wouldn't bother me again, then hinted at wanting money from me. Before I could speak, Jiang Yang coldly drove him out with a stern face. Later, I heard the Marquis had been impeached and exiled to a remote backwater. My elder sister remained in the capital, still enduring daily beatings and scoldings from her husband. Only now, no one intervened on her behalf anymore. These matters had long ceased to weigh on my mind. At this moment, I'm holding my 1-year-old daughter, smiling as I place her by the table. Come on, pick your fortune and see what you like. The little one crawls onto the table and grabs a handful of silver coins nearby. Jiang Yang leans over teasingly. Just like your mother, a little money grubber. I snorted and gently pinched my daughter's cheek. What's wrong with liking money? Jiang Yang quickly chimed in agreement. I burst out laughing. The days ahead will only get better and better. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.